Wildest place you've ever been intimate?
Cruise ship balcony.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I was looking on my shoulder quite a lot.
And somebody's texting you who's 23 saying, do you fancy a bit of young fun? And you're like, I'm not that old. It's a good place to be, to explore a little bit more. It's kind of a bit like what happens at sea stays at sea.
Yeah.
The Sail Away Uncensored Cruise Podcast.
I think we'll start with, how did you meet?
God.
We actually met underage drinking in Leeds.
Did you?
Yeah, we were only 16 and we were out on the town. And I think you were out with your friends from high school and I were out with my work friends. And one of the girls I was with was like, oh, all my high school friends are out. Shall we go meet them? And I was like, yeah, why not? And then you came around the corner.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a long story because I actually wasn't meant to be there that weekend because I was in the army then. And it was just off the cuff. I was like, I'm tired of being here. I'm going to go home. And my friend was like, let's go out. And I'm like, I'm just here to chill. Like, I've been in an environment where it's just hectic. I got peer pressure to going out, but then that's obviously like your friends met my friends. And then I was like, who is this? You were blonde back then. I was like, who is this blonde chick? I was like, wow, oh my God. And then we kind of took it from there, didn't we?
Kind of childhood sweethearts, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, sweet. So we recently discovered you on a Channel 4 programme. I think it was called Open House, The Great Sex Experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that come about and what did you get up to?
So we've been creating social media content under Olivia's alias Vista Wife, and that's just helping people get to know about non-monogamy. And we was killing it for absolutely ages. And then one day, this random Instagram message popped up, and it was from like account. It had like 7 followers on it, but the message was like really in detail about someone being a producer from Firecracker Studios. They're producing season 2 of Open House, A Great Sex Experiment. And me and you questioned it like,
I feel like this looks really dodgy. Do we really want to like message them back? But I just went, we might as well just message them and see how it goes. But they asked us to fill out a form and would be really interested in like having conversations and having like a little interview with the producers, and it kind of went from there, didn't it? We're like, yeah, let's screw it, let's do it. And that was like 3 years ago now. We filmed that for season 2, and then we have just finished filming for season 3 as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow, is there anything you can tell us? Obviously it's not come out yet, but is there any you can tell us about
I think with season 3 compared to season 2 and 1 it's a lot more juicy. There's a bit more emotion involved from the guests that come in. You see how people's emotions work in non-monogamy when it's the first step, and they've really kind of like dived into that. Just to make sure that it's the real deal. It's not just made for TV. This is what really happens when you don't communicate, or you kind of do it on a whim. But I feel like it's going to really portray that.
It's going to be definitely a different series. Is season 3? I think they took a lot of advice from us who have been in the lifestyle a lot, and really got to know how things work, how socials work, and what actually does happen on a normal swinging night out kind of thing.
When's that coming out?
It'll probably be like 2025, middle of 2025.
Yeah, there's no dates confirmed yet for that.
Could you just explain to our viewers and listeners what non-monogamy is?
Go for it, baby.
I know there's going to be plenty of people that won't have a clue.
I think non-monogamy is just an umbrella term for a lot of different relationship dynamics. A lot of people just like to explore more in their sexual fantasies and desires. We have an open relationship where we're free to be with other people. We can I swap with guys and girls and couples, and you also swap with women and couples as well, and then we do it together. So a lot of people's non-monogamy like journey is completely different, but it is.
That's going to sound crazy to somebody.
Yes.
Like, how do you cope with jealousy? Is there any jealousy whatsoever?
Yeah, jealousy is a human feeling that we all have. No one can escape it or anything like that. I think what differs between me and Olivia is that we communicate everything thoroughly. You know, it's if we've got the slightest worry about anything, we will talk about it. We will go into depth about it. And there's been, I think we don't watch TV that much, do we? We literally sit on the sofa with a cup of tea and biscuits, and we just talk about everything. You know, everything that's running through your mind, which I feel like people don't do enough of. But that's one thing about the lifestyle, is people communicate and they talk about sex, which is, you know, to everyone else is kind of such a taboo subject to talk about, but we all do it and we all enjoy it. But when you talk about that tough subject, you find that it filters down to everyday life. So with that, you know, your communication just opens up so much, and you feel more happy in a way, don't you? Because
connected.
Yeah.
I think we always say that jealousy is definitely, there is something there, but I never look at it as a negative experience. I look at it as more of a, why do I feel this way? Actually, I want my husband back, and it's the reconnection. And we really enjoy like swapping with other people. But it's actually when we get each other back and the reconnection that we have, that is where it's at. So he might be off with a woman, and I'm like, I'm really jealous and I really want to be part of that, or I'd like to be involved and maybe more of a threesome scenario. But I know that Gage is having a really good time, and they'll come back and tell me all about it, and I'm like, get here, you. And yeah, I just think like it's just the way that you use it, and just being emotionally mature enough to, you're not leaving me. No. So, I'm not leaving you, and it's kind of just an experience that we have together.
I have to ask, so what is the appropriate term for what you would call yourselves? Is it swingers? Is it your lifestylers, or you're in the lifestyle? How do you define it?
It can be defined in any way, and it depends on the person that's living their own experience. People do like to use the term swinging or swingers. People use, I'm in the lifestyle, or I'm non-monogamous. We kind of like to say we're sexually free-spirited, right? But it's kind of like, for me, I'm not the biggest fan of the word swinger, because I think it does have a stare mark on it, and people think of like, you know, misconceptions, or like it's been dark and seedy and underground.
That's where
That's what people go to. But
Donald
you know,
and Jacqueline.
We're in 2024 now, and once you peep behind that curtain and see what's really going on, you're going to find that everyone does this. We found that, you know, a lot of younger couples coming up now that are in long-term relationships or getting married, they're understanding that actually sex and love are two separate things. You know, in the UK, the divorce rate's 45% now, or something like that.
Yeah. Quite.
So it's kind of.
So when we invited you on, we did some research, and it seems that non-monogamous relationships have just exploded in recent years. It's becoming more and more popular. But people think that cruises attract swingers like a moth to a flame. Would you agree? And if so, why do you think that is?
I don't think I agree. I think it's more of the fact that it's an adult environment. Like, I think like you said, like the Virgin Voyage is an adults only cruise, and with that, people are like, ooh, well, what can we get up to on here? And I know that there is swinging only cruises as well. People do charter cruise ships, and they are fully sold out, because it is a party atmosphere. It's a really good vibe, and you know, everybody on the cruise ship is going to be all like-minded, all on the same level, and I do think it's a good place to be, to explore a little bit more. And maybe it's kind of a bit like what happens at sea stays at sea.
We looked on the way down here, and there's a cruise called Desire.
Yes, I've heard of
Yeah,
this.
you've
Not
heard
through that. Not through that.
Oh, well.
I did my research for the podcast.
So Desire, we looked at it, you know, for next year and the year 26. I think they do like 2-3 cruises a year, all fully sold out. I think people pay for
Apart
the
from like
environment.
the presidential suites and things, everything's just sold out.
So it is popular. It is
Yeah,
in demand.
yeah, definitely.
Cruise lines are missing a trick here.
What misconceptions do people have about swinging, and how would you clarify those?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is we're riddled with STDs. And I think that is definitely not the case. Everybody is so precautious when it comes to swinging or being in the lifestyle. Everybody uses protection all the time. Everybody even gets tested. Like, there's no taboo on getting tested in our lifestyle. Everybody makes sure everybody leaves a meet with peace in mind, and make sure everybody is safe. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, but that it was really not the case.
That's definitely one of the big. I think the second one is we get a lot of comments on social media, and it's like we're not a real married couple, we don't love each other or anything like that. But then it's kind of the question of like, is bedroom activities about marriage for you? Like, is that the sole thing that you're basing marriage on? But they're the two biggest ones, aren't they?
Yeah, that we don't love each other.
So I think one misconception which people also have is that you're into everyone.
Oh,
like,
no.
you don't.
No.
I think there's some people out there that will believe that you would go on a swingers cruise, for example, and you would just get off with someone.
Not even on just a swingers cruise, you just
Or just
cruise
in
and
general,
looking at
right.
everyone.
Just in general, it's kind of a bit like, I think when you tell people that you're in an open relationship to people that are not in an open relationship, they're like, oh, she's going to steal my husband, and I'm like, why isn't she she's bi, so why didn't she tried it on with me? And I'm kind of a bit like, we are the choosiest people, like, we're so picky, and I think we have got pickier as well as the experience, more of the experiences that we've had. We get pickier and pickier, don't we?
You know what? I can sympathise though.
I was going to say the same.
As being gay, you'll get straight men that go, "Oh, you must have."
They think that we're
And it's
exactly.
not. I'm going to fancy every man that walks down the street.
Yeah.
I know.
We've had people comment on the video and imply that, we'd be into someone that's like 60, 70 years up. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I sympathise,
It's a very
I
narrow
understand.
mind.
I always pictured that, even when you're single, you're still picky, right? And it's
You're not going to snog everybody on the dance floor, are you?
So going back to the Virgin quickly, so I have to ask, while you was on there, did you see anything on board that
Or we're involved in it.
or involved? Did you see any stray pineapples on doors?
It got juicy on the Virgin
did.
Cruise, didn't it? It got juicy.
There were a few pineapples on the Virgin Cruise, and I think, to be honest, we went on it about a year ago, didn't we? And I think it is getting more popular. I've seen on TikTok people trying to spot the pineapples on the doors.
Is that how you found it on Virgin? Was it?
No.
Because I am curious. I have to ask. I'm going to comment a little bit more later. But how do you instigate that on a cruise? Let's say, is it you look for a pineapple on a door, or is it you meet prior on a Facebook group or the app? Or how does that work?
Well, I think for us, we wouldn't just knock on someone's door if there were a pineapple on there, 'cause you don't know who's behind it.
I don't know. It's kind of exciting, isn't it?
You know what, though? I have seen on TikTok where someone will have a pineapple on their door, but they'll have like their headshot. As well. And then like their bio with like, I'm certain age and whatever it is. So none of that though. No. Okay.
No. I know with SwingHub as well, they're creating like door hangers where it's like find us on SwingHub and then add the username so you can just like check on the app.
We can create a QR code, can't we?
Yeah,
really. Scan it.
Just pop up with the app.
I think people are meeting online prior or while they're on there. We met some people online, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we did meet up with them. We were sailing out of Miami, so it was everybody were American. We were the youngest people there.
We struggled to find someone that was straight on Virgin.
Really?
I've never seen a cruise with so many LGBTQ.
I think our sailing was different though, compared to what yours was though. Ours was going out of the UK, so I think that there was obviously a lot more Brits. I think it was more toned down to how they are in America, I would assume. I'm not sure.
Well, they always go over the top in the United States, don't they? But we basically organised a meet at the back of the ship. Just all the lifestylers got together. We was definitely the youngest. I think the second most youngest, he was really high up in the police over in Orlando or something like that. You meet
characters.
You meet some people in some really high places, but it's the
we
Did you have a good time?
We had a great time. We had a
we
great
had
time.
a few drinks. We gambled a little bit in the casino together, and then we ended up back at theirs, didn't we?
Yeah.
Were you the younger couple?
Yeah, we were the youngest there.
Because I do think you aren't the image that people have when you say swingers.
I think that's was definitely the case in that scenario, but I feel old now going to clubs in the UK. I think the generation has definitely changed. There is people in their early 20s at swingers clubs. And I do think we're becoming like...
Welcome, like the old
We're the
people.
old
You go,
people.
You're not that old, are you?
No, we're 32 and 33.
Old.
no, but when you've got the younger 20s coming in now,
Yeah.
and like they're starting from the younger 20s.
And somebody's texting you who's 23 saying, do you fancy a bit of young fun? And you're like, I'm not that old.
With going back to the Virgin, you said you had a very good time. Was it awkward afterwards being on a ship? Whereas I imagine when you're at home, you leave and you're not in that environment. But when you're on the ship, it's like, oh, we're still on board for having
No.
Yeah, because this was our first night or our second night.
How many days was?
We were at sea. We were on board for 5 nights,
Yeah.
and this was maybe our first or second night.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did invite us for a couple more drinks, so we did spend time with us, but we didn't go back to the scenario.
You get to know them in terms of like these guys check out. So you kind of already have that friendship there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So me and him we literally sat together playing blackjack in the casino.
I think there's never any awkwardness. I think if you've been in the lifestyle a long time, I think you know where it is. You know that if it's just a one-time thing, that's totally cool. If it's a friendship that you're building, and I think you just take it as it is, don't you? I think each scenario is completely different. Like we've played with people and only played with them once or twice and never seen them again. We've got friends for life that we have been friends with for 7 years, haven't we? So
Yeah.
Is there no awkwardness after you've done stuff? Like a lot of men seem to, as soon as they've had their way, their mind's on something else. Like, oh, I want something to eat now, or a drink. Like, is there like any?
what's that called?
Awkward silencing. Is there anything like that?
No, I think you make sure that it's the right fit for you before you head into a cabin or a hotel or a playroom.
Let me just say this though: we've had some of the best conversations naked with another couple after playing.
Yeah.
You've shared an experience, and that's how you can't get any more intimate, right? And that's you go into that in-depth conversation. I'm sure we're drinking champagne and just sat there naked, putting the world to rights.
And I think, like you said, if you can't laugh at each other, like having these experiences, it's just not the right. They're not the right couple for you. If you've fallen off of a bed and you're just laughing at each other and you're having them deeper, meaningful conversations, but the next time you see each other, you give each other a hug. Sometimes you're like, do I go in for a hug or do I go in for a kiss? But last night we were doing that. So it is a bit, that's the only awkwardness. You don't know where to go, whether it's a kiss or a cuddle.
Is there boundaries? Is there any time that you kind of say, right, well, this is the line we'll never cross, or you have to discuss it when it comes to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So our top 2 boundaries all the time is that if we play with anybody else, protection's one. Always stay safe, always wear protection. And very well, it's on par with that one is we communicate everything that we're doing. So, if Olivia is off to go meet someone, or if I'm off to go meet someone, or we're doing it together, we thoroughly talk about it. Say, why do we want to do it? Who is that person? Like we're more than happy to read each other's messages that we're sending, because I could pick up a vibe that I don't like and I can go, I'm not too sure. But we also have a rule where we can veto meets as well. So if one of us is not happy, we can go, I'm going to veto that. And there's no questions asked because that's my girl.
I find it really curious, more for you, Gage, that men are very jealous. I find men are far more jealous than women. I think there's a lot of people that would not understand you, like having an issue with Olivia going off with another man.
Mm-hmm.
I think most men would be like, what's she up to? Why doesn't she want to be with me? I think, that's something a lot of people
I
would
think
struggle
that's just, as you've explained, it's just being comfortable in your relationship, in
Yeah.
your skin, in knowing what you want and what you don't want.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's one of the main comments that we get as well, isn't it? It's like the guys are always game for another female to join them. It's like, yeah, I'm a lad, like 2 girls. But as soon as you say, but I couldn't have my wife with another guy, and you're like, why not? You can bring another female in, but you're not another guy. And it's like, oh no, it's just not right. So I definitely agree with the guys. It's always, everybody feels like the lifestyle, if a couple are getting into the lifestyle, they always feel like it's the guy wanting to get into it, but it's majority the women that are talking about it to their partners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I'm really proud of is that we genuinely take our time. Like I said, the misconception that we just jump into bed with anyone is a total lie. We'll meet somebody and we can sit on it for weeks and we can talk to them for weeks. So when it comes to it, we know that we feel ready to kind of crack on. In terms of surprising, I think it's when we first had our first mansion party.
Our first mansion party.
So we had a mansion party.
What is a mansion party?
That was
Let me tell you what a mansion.
crazy.
So we had a black tie event in this really fancy mansion, and long story short, 11 o'clock in the lifestyle is called golden hour. That's when like ladies dress out of the dresses into the lingerie, and it starts getting a bit heated. There was one point, me and Olivia didn't do it. We were working that night, obviously hosting the event, and on the top floor of this mansion, it just covers the whole house. And from start, as you walk through the door, it was like this massive orgy bit. It was like one of the hottest things that you ever see. You've seen Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, imagine them orgies, in the penthouse where it's like this fancy stuff everywhere and there's women in lingerie. It was like that. And I was just looking at it going, my God, I live an epic life right now.
I think we kind of were like, did we create this?
Yeah.
There was just a sea of people everywhere, wasn't there? And it was like about 60, 70 people just all on this top floor. They had other bedrooms to go play in, but everybody seemed to be the vibe up there, didn't it? And I was like just watching there and I was like,
It would just,
I want to pay.
yeah, but it was just because of the environment. It was just like so elegant and classy. But it was just like you'd feel like if you looked at it, it's kind of you hear them stories of like the elite having these like private orgy parties. It felt like that, didn't it?
Did you play, or was it you was working?
We were hosting.
It was so busy, and I think it was our first mansion party. So we was kind of a bit overwhelmed of how much work we had to put into it. So we was kind of a bit. To be fair, we were like absolutely knackered. It was like 4 a.m. and we were still tidying up, and we were like, I need to go to bed.
Yeah.
So have you ever been in a moment with another couple or another woman or man on your own where you've been in the moment and then you've kind of gone halfway through? No, I want to end this, or just the vibe wasn't going anywhere.
I think if I think about it, it might have happened in like clubs and stuff like that. Like we haven't had the time to talk to people. We've had like this quick, brief interaction. But I think like you just get up and walk away, don't you? Kind of.
There's
thing.
no awkwardness still.
There's no awkwardness if like people are not feeling it. You just walk away and it's like, you carry on. I'm not feeling it. You kind of just walk off, don't you? And you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, you're fine. And did you have a good time? You okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just not feeling it. I'm going to go get a drink from the bar, and it's not awkward at all.
Do you know where the pineapple symbol comes from?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
And is that just cruises, or is that in general?
No,
That's
just in general.
It's the upside down pineapple, which is a symbol of the lifestyle, but
Yeah, you've got a shirt that raises eyebrows.
I was on Virgin. Around, and I didn't clock what the upside down pineapple was, and then you said to me after, like, you're getting quite a few looks down, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. I was like, I need to remove that.
We were on the beach. I remember we were on the beach in Mexico, and you even went up to a guy because he had a pineapple shirt on, saying, "Are you guys in the lifestyle?" And they were like, "Yeah," like because
good chat.
Like,
all right,
good chat,
nice.
good
Thanks.
chat. So I think people do go up to people.
Yeah, they do.
But then I suppose like a lot of people don't understand. If I came up to someone who didn't really know about it and they had a pineapple shirt on, and you're like, "Are you guys in the lifestyle?" They're like, "What are you talking about?" Whereas if I went, "You guys swingers," they'd be like, really offended.
But the upside down pineapple thing, I don't have an idea where it came from, but obviously before that it was pampas grass.
Yeah.
This one time I went to an event up in Preston, and I met a guy, and he's been in the lifestyle for donkey's years. And before websites and apps came around, what he said he had to do is drive around, you see pampas grass. He used to get out of the car, he used to walk down to the drive and knock on the door and actually ask them, "Are there swingers?"
I don't think I could have the bottle to
I
do.
don't think I had the ball.
Yeah, but then half of the time he says there were, and if there wasn't, he was like, "Oh, sorry, my mistake," and then kind of walked away. But they used to have like a black book of people, and they'd organise parties and give them a phone call, say, "Hey, there's a party going on. Do you want to come?" And that's how they used to meet. But that would fade.
Can you imagine doing that? No. And pampas grass grows everywhere as well in the UK.
Ever wear a pineapple out? on your top? Or would you ever is that something you would do, or
I've got like swimming shorts with like little small pineapples on it, just like a small indicator. But
I've got like little necklace and earrings and things like that.
I think it's more just to show support, and I think it's the case of like it's not a sign to say, hey, come and play with us, because there's nothing better than actually meeting another couple or a single that's in the lifestyle, because they share the same mentality. Where you can talk about anything you want and different experience, and they can go, hey, you need to go here, try this, or you need to meet this person. So it's more like a networking thing.
It's a community, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a community.
So does everyone in your life know about your relationship? Like,
Yeah.
How do both your parents?
Well, just before we go there, I think it's Olivia's, obviously through the newspapers, is the UK's most famous swinger now. Yeah,
Are you happy with that?
I was going to say that's a title.
that is a title. That is a title. But we also own like the UK's largest lifestyle social media app, SwingHub. So we do get recognised everywhere. So every time someone opens the phones or reads a paper or turns on Channel 4, we're there. But telling your mum when we first started,
Is it awkward?
I think we got to the point of we'd been creating social media for so long and we'd got some traction, and we were like, I think we best tell our family before somebody else tells them.
so honestly, I remember I was at work and I was like, I just need to tell my mum. I give her a call. I was like, hey, Mum, how are you doing? She's like, yeah, I'm great. I was like, Mum, I've got to tell you something, and it's going really well. It's a bit taboo, but I just wanted to let you know before anyone else said anything. And she was like, right. She sat down. What is it, Gage? I went, well, me and Liv, we're in the lifestyle. We're non-monogamous. Or you can call it swinging if you want, but we started creating TikToks, and she stopped me. She was like, Gage, I've been watching your TikToks for ages, and I absolutely love them. I was like, oh my God, that's such a relief, but a bit awkward at the same time.
But then we went round to my mum.
I was going to say, what did your
And
mum say?
my mum was like, we've got something to tell you. We didn't even like get in the door. We were like just stood at the door. And she was like, please don't tell me like you're having another child. And we were like, no, it's not that. And then Gage just looked and was like, Olivia's got something to tell you, and walked out of the door. And I was like,
That's cheap. That's not fair. That's not fair.
but she was like, oh, I can see you doing that because you're that type, but I can't
What,
see
to you?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, cheers, Mum.
What did she mean by that?
mean?
Yeah.
She says I was always a bit of a flirt, so I'm guessing that might be why. But yeah, I think they were accepting, and they were always saying that it didn't affect them as long as you guys were happy. That's all that matters. And we were like, everybody was saying that I've never seen you guys so happy in your relationship and like yourself. So they could see it, but probably were like, didn't know why.
The next question was going to be, where can people meet online? But you mentioned the app, so tell us more about that.
Yeah. So currently it's the UK's largest lifestyle social media app. It's pretty much Facebook for people for the lifestyle. And it's growing quite rapidly. The reason why it's growing so big is because everyone on board SwingHub is fully verified, so there's no fake accounts. It used to be a big problem in the lifestyle, people catfishing. So we kind of eradicated that, didn't we? But people now literally go to cruise docks and they open it up and they go, who's near me now? And they'll see people close by and they'll drop a message going, hey, what are you going on? And if they're on the same ship, they'll meet and they'll connect and they'll hit it off. So it's working wonders, right?
Or a massive group, I think, that went on one in August. There were about 40 of them, all who'd met on SwingHub prior. And they'd all like created this community and this group, and they all just decided to go on together, didn't they?
Yeah.
How many members has it got?
Currently, so we've just basically survived our first year. I say thrived actually. We've got 36,000 fully verified active members.
And is that around the world? Was that just in the UK?
So that's majority UK.
We've only really promoted it in the UK. We've developed the new app that's going out this
Friday.
Week, yeah. And then that's when we're going to actually physically promote it and put money around the marketing. But that is all just been social media and word of mouth.
That's fantastic. Well done, guys.
Thank you.
That is a real achievement.
Thank you.
So we touched on it before. How do you handle jealousy or insecurities in the lifestyle?
Communicating, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the thing with insecurities as well, to touch upon that, a big one is women and the bodies. When they first get into the lifestyle, they probably had kids and the bodies change. As you get older, your body changes anyway. I used to tell Olivia all the time, I was like, you are hot, you know that. And she's like, shut up, you got to say that, you're my husband. But until someone else says that or another guy says that, that's when you actually believe it. But you never used to wear like, you know, lingerie. It was always like a full body.
I never used to wear bikinis on the beach, and it was got to the point of, I think the lifestyle does help like your body confidence and your insecurities and things like that. And I don't even think it's just women. I think men in general as well. Everybody has that little bit of insecurities, but that one insecurity that you absolutely hate, someone else could love, and you'd be like, come here, you.
Yeah.
First impression of you two is you seem confident, but it's not arrogance. Like you do seem like very confident in your relationship and just like socially. Yeah. So it seems to work for you, and I think that hearing this conversation, I think it will open a lot of people's eyes, because I think there's quite a lot of stigma attached to the lifestyle.
Yeah, and we literally thrive on talking to people who have an opposite mindset to us. And it's not the case of us trying to get them into a lifestyle. It's just, you know, to educate them, just go, we're happy. You know, we can just give them some facts about our story. And we've changed some people's minds, really, haven't we? Not to come into a lifestyle, but to go, you know what? Yeah, it's not a big deal with what you're doing.
I think it's back to, like, everybody has their own sexual preferences and desires and fantasies. We're just living them, and we're not harming anyone while we're doing that either. And I think, like, they see how strong we are as a couple and in a relationship and as people, just ourselves, and they're just kind of a bit like, oh, can't argue with that then.
The world would be a better place if people were just able to go about their business without judgment
100%,
from everyone else.
I agree.
What advice would you give to people that want to get into the lifestyle, that are curious but haven't gone there yet?
I think just having them open communications, like, you always have to just communicate about everything. I think if you have got something in the back of your head and you don't communicate it, it's going to end badly, because I think you both need to be on the same page. You both need to be 100% in it. If one of you is kind of a bit like really unsure, it's not going to work out. It's not going to go great. Definitely get on the SwingHub app and make sure you just check out who is around you, because that really shocked us at first of how many people are actually in the lifestyle. I was always like, we're not swingers. Like, this is when we first started. We started about 8 years ago, and Gage was like, are we swingers now? And I'm like, oh my God, don't say that. But actually seeing the amount of people that are in the lifestyle and in this community, it does change your mind. It's kind of a bit like, oh, so it wasn't just us. We're not just weirdos.
Yeah.
And going to clubs as well, that's a huge thing. Like, there is so many like-minded people at these clubs that you can just go and have the experience, go grab a drink, go have a mingle with everybody, and get to see what's happening. You don't have to do anything, no expectations. It is a really good night out, I think.
Sorry, you'll have to explain. What are the clubs?
Well, probably not. You look like so. Yeah.
I can imagine what they are. But
So what you think of clubs is kind of, you know, it's not like some shed or anything that's a bit, you know, poorly lit. There's some clubs out there that are really, really nice, and we go to a few. So there's a place called Townhouse up in the Wirral. That's got like a really cool like rock vibe about it. So you walk into a club, it looks like a normal bar or nightclub. All it is, at the back of it, there's a few rooms, you know, with like some beds and you know, different apparatus and stuff like that. But just imagine going into a normal bar. That's all it is, full of like-minded people.
Do you have to be a member, or do you have to kind of have any involvement with it before? Couldn't you just rock up and go?
Yeah, you can just rock up. So you can rock up, they'll take your details and stuff, and you know, you become a member. But they've got nights on every Friday, Saturday, some midweek. But they're absolutely everywhere out there.
Yeah, there's so many in the UK.
Yeah.
But there is some of our favourites, isn't there, that we go to often. But they're a safe space because all the staff are there, and there's people there making sure everybody's safe and making sure everybody's okay. And I do think that's a safe place for you to explore.
I think
what you want.
The best way to see it as, like, you know, even if you're single or a couple, would you feel safe just going around to someone's house to have an experience, or would you be safe in an environment where you know people are trained to look out for these signs if you're like a little bit stressed or a little bit upset or a little bit nervous? I know where I'd want to go. I'd want to go to a club where I know I can talk to anyone if I'm feeling in any certain way. So they are important. They are needed, definitely.
Yeah.
And they're popping up all the time.
And we run our own events at these clubs as well, and they're like mainly aimed at new people wanting to experience the club. So we have got a team of how many people?
14.
Who are there to help, and if somebody's sat in the corner looking really nervous, they go over there and just talk to them and make sure they're okay, and then they'll probably introduce them to someone else who's really nervous, and then they can start building them connections and then be really confident in
and
have
walk
a really
away
good night.
like, you know, really happy.
I have to ask, who out of the two of you brought it up at first?
Good question. And it was actually it was both of us really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we one night we had sex and we were just having pillow talk, and I just popped out this question of like, would you ever like be with a woman? And you said, well, I've actually had an experience before I met you, and I don't know what happened to my body, but it just did something funky, and I was like, I am turned on right now. Like, tell me more.
So you bringing that up, I'm imagining that was your thing.
It was, I don't know. Well, we always consider ourselves dirty vanillas, so we've always had like a really active.
I've never heard of that one before.
Yeah, so we've always had like a
Put that on a t-shirt.
so we've always been quite exuberant in our sexual life. You know.
Sorry,
You sound anything but vanilla.
Can we just explain what a dirty vanilla is?
So we was monogamous, but our sex life was more than anything.
Yeah,
You know,
I think when you do talk to people, like even like talking about toys or anything like that, or anything but in the bedroom and things like that, people are like, "What? You do it downstairs in the utility?" You're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, like-
And I think like involving different things and being a bit more free-spirited and exploring more. Whereas
We
I
used
think,
to pull up in the car and just bang in the car, right? We were just that, that adrenaline rush that you kind of like look for, in your relationship and stuff. So we used to do that.
As we've touched on this, I have to ask, where is the most unusual place you've ever got it on? I want to see what dirty vanilla looks like.
Do you?
I'm still not sure about the term.
Most unusual place. Oh gosh,
I think what's
I don't know.
the most unusual place?
I don't know. We did do it on a balcony, didn't we? At Temptations in Cancun.
I thought he was going to say on a cruise there.
No, then I say that hammock.
Those
there
hammocks
looks
are
very,
I did make a joke to Jay and say when we first went on a Virgin cruise, like I wonder how many people have used the swing for those activities, and then I logistically said in my head like, well, how would it work though? Because it was at a weird angle.
Yeah.
It's a very weird angle.
And those beds are quite low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She knows.
I think we was playing in the hammock, and then also we had both neighbours on the balconies. It's like, are we going to get away with this? And it's like the risk of like, what if you're always curious how you like to just put your head around the corner and go, who's next?
Yeah, they want the most private, was it? The
No,
balcony.
no.
So, but yeah.
Was that the strangest place then? A balconies.
I don't know.
Balconies.
Yeah, we're quite elegant in the way we do things out. So it's rather fancy hotel rooms or mansions or clubs or anything like that.
On the woods in a lay-by.
Yeah, okay. yeah. It was a nice wood. It looked really nice. Okay.
We've now determined what dirty vanilla is.
There you go.
We've now got it. I can't wait to see the t-shirt.
So I'm guessing that you'd say that the best cruise line for swingers or those in the lifestyle is Virgin.
No.
I think Virgin is more because it is the adults only, and it is kind of a bit more of the brand is kind of have your fun, like kind of the more rock roll kind of.
Virgin do put the message out. It's adults only. That's why they leave you, a box of condoms in your drawer. I think you get a vibrator as well.
I never found that.
them off.
And
No, not that. No.
make it sound like you're actively searching.
No, it was for research purposes for the
Research
magazine, of course. But did you have a
think
vibrator? And
We did. Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
sweet. Or was you in a typical cabin?
We're in a balcony
A balcony room,
Yeah.
yeah.
was it?
But you have the...
in one of the drawers.
But it's things like the NSA party that's on Virgin as well. It's very sexually seductive, and it's kind of putting the message out there. If you want to go on a cruise and you want to meet other couples, every couple on there is in a lifestyle. it's got to be desire, right? It's got to be.
Yeah, if you want in an actual swinging lifestyle-friendly cruise and everybody's in the lifestyle, I definitely think you need to book a lifestyle cruise. But if you're wanting a bit of everything in the possibility, maybe that there is other people in the lifestyle on the cruise, Virgin does lend itself to it.
You saw the entertainment on there. I did cross our minds. There's definitely blokes here who've got a stiffy or a semi.
Oh
Yeah, it's very
it's
very
not your
proactive.
average cruise ship.
It's not for the faint-hearted. Some of it. It's not for
We laugh. We honestly
It's like
laugh.
we're on about dirty vanillas because we were
Because
just sat there going,
We were
"Is
at
this
the,
it?"
We were at the NSA party, and they're doing this stuff, and we're like, "All right, this is great." And then you look at the people, and they're going, "Oh my god!" We're like,
And I was like, "Is this it?
okay.
Is this what everybody's talking about? Like the 50 Shades?"
it does. Yeah.
What was Royal Caribbean like for those in the lifestyle? I know you went on as a family, so that was
Yeah,
probably different
yeah.
experience. As such,
I think if you are looking for it and if you wanting to meet people, I think you will find them. I think it does depend where you cruise from, what port you're going from, what ship you're on, whether it's a family orientated one.
We didn't see, obviously, I think it'd be a bit distasteful on a family cruise to put pineapples on your doors anyway, but I know what people do is they'll reach out online and say, we're going on X cruise, who else is going, and kind of do it privately rather than plaster, the stuff on the
Do you
doors.
think you will ever do a desire cruise?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to go on one.
Yeah, the only
Experience
problem
it.
is that they just sell out 2 years ahead.
And it's like, when have we got the time?
Yeah.
As we just touched on it briefly, do you think that one day you'll have to have that conversation with your children, or do you think you're just going to let them discover it?
Our kids are brought up in a sex-positive household anyway.
Okay.
We've got a teenager who's learning this. He's obviously going through his own changes and is learning different things in school. We address it as, let's talk about it. This is the toughest subject you could talk about, but us talking about, we don't talk about our own personal stuff that's going on.
Yep.
We talk about things, just general about sex and kind of like how things are done. He's probably one child out of, all our friends' kids. He'll come to us and talk to us about everything. He's got a girlfriend and he's having conversations, and he comes to us and saying, hey, I'm having these conversations. And again, I can't stress enough, like, we don't talk about sex enough. It's such a taboo subject for people, and it's like everybody does it. We're here because somebody did it. So we need to talk about it more, right?
Do you think that Brits are quite prudy? Because if you look at like European countries, for example, like nudism and he's like Germany, for example, like they can't wait to get their kit off.
Yeah.
Like a naked Sunday.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they
I
do,
eat
don't
it.
they?
But with Brits, we're quite prim and proper.
There's a pivot happening in Britain now. You've got the generation which obviously all monogamous, kind of, had a divorce or two, got remarried, and that's how they want to kind of live their life. Younger generations coming up now are seeing the change. Yeah, I'll give it 5-10 years before we're up there with Germany. We're making that change towards sex.
Before you go, I've got some quick fire questions.
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't think you've seen this, so yeah.
I've seen this. If you could send me these. A word that describes your first swinging encounter.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, mind blowing. Yeah.
You can't do the same.
Okay. I'm going to use 2 words. It was adrenaline fuel.
A red flag with potential partners.
They drink too much.
Being too forward.
Funniest thing to happen in the moment.
A queef. It's funny.
It's not funny.
It is funny.
Sorry, you have to say what is a.
You don't know what a queef is?
No, I'm innocent. I am.
Even I like
Such an angel. You are such an angel, yeah.
Would you like to explain?
I was going to say, would you like to explain
Do
what
you want to explain it off camera or on camera?
No, on camera.
It's where you're having sex with a woman and her vagina fills with air. So when you kind of...
Fanny fart.
Yeah, we'll go I'm trying to be a bit elegant with it. Okay, yeah. If we all laugh at it and kind of go, it's no big deal. It's not embarrassing, but yeah.
I think this one's a long one, but we had an OG and on a sofa bed, and we turned it into a bed, and I flipped off of it. And it just went.
I bet that was an image.
That was an open house as well. Yeah.
Biggest turn on in a new connection.
For me, it's confidence in a woman, in knowing what she wants, and then kind of giving me that energy to let me feel that I'm wanted. That's my biggest turn on.
I think the main thing is knowing that they're wanting us. Like you said, not just talking about work and podcasts and SwingHub. I think it's more the fact that they're wanting to know me as a person.
Your secret code for when you're not interested.
Oh, can we give us it? We'll have to make a new one. Keep telling people.
I'll tell you the old one.
I'll tell you the old
because we had to change it numerous times.
It's not a Freemasons handshake type of thing. Olivia doesn't like lemonade. Right. And if we're speaking to a couple, she'd be like, Gage, can you go get me a lemonade from the bar? Or I'll say, hey, do you want me to go get you a lemonade? And she'd be like, no, I'll have something else. It's kind of like on that part. If you really like them.
Like, can I have a Diet Coke?
Can I have a Diet Coke?
Right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah. Wildest place you've ever been intimate?
Cruise ship balcony.
Yeah.
That was quite...
I was looking on my shoulder quite a lot.
That was...
Craziest item you pack for a cruise?
We have the sex bag, don't we?
Yeah, the sex bag comes with us all the time.
So we've got this pink bag and it's got a watermelon on it for some reason.
It's a type of fruit.
I know. Well, you don't want to be like too conspicuous, right? So you open it up, but it's kind of got all your essentials in there. So, it's got like femme fresh wipes, it's got condoms, lube, deodorant. It's just, for us, we wouldn't want to be put in a situation where it's like, do you know what, this is a vibe, let's do something and not have anything with us. So we always just pack that just in case, don't we? It don't really get open, to be fair, but it's just a nice thing. Yeah.
And lastly, one boundary you won't cross.
Both agree on this, is that communication. Like, we just we won't do anything willy-nilly.
That would be cheating.
That would be cheating, yeah.
The Sail Away Uncensored Cruise Podcast.